hope that you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, the Black Business School. And I promised you guys I would come back a little bit later on tonight. I promised you I'd come back and finish up the conversation we were having earlier. And it had to do with the late great Nipsey Hussle. And I don't know about you guys, but I was personally offended by what I read. How you doing, DJ Dark Shades? How you doing, man? It was this really weird article that was written in NBC of all places. I didn't expect NBC to go out of their way to attack Nipsey Hussle, but that's what they did. And personally, I found myself being a little bit offended by what I was reading. And so anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm hitting a couple things on my computer, but I'm going to kind of go through the rest of the article. I told you guys once I got back from my run tonight, I would run it with Dr. Alicia. And I told you guys that when I got back, I was going to actually kind of dig into this article a little bit more and kind of give some perspective. Now, if you weren't here, if you didn't see part one, you can actually see part one of this video on drboycetv.com. If you haven't checked out drboycetv.com, feel free to go. You can subscribe, and it's a great place for intelligent Black people. Also, do me a favor, shout out your city, your business, or your dream. I see Earl's from Tucson, Arizona. Let's see, Abdulaziz is in Indonesia. Michael says, how was the run? It was actually pretty good. I'm trying to get ready for this half marathon I got to do Saturday. Oh man, she signed me up for this damn thing, and I'm dreading it already. But it's something I told her I do, and I'm glad to be doing it. I've lost a lot of weight, and then I'm gonna tell you one thing. I just for the brothers out here, one thing I can say is, I see all the statistics in terms of Black men dying in our 50s and 40s and 60s and whatnot. And I was like, I'm gonna try my best to not go out like that. And a lot of it is because for Black men, we go through so much shit. You have so many people constantly messing with us that, it stresses you out. Like that stuff kills you, and before, in fact, my blood pressure had gotten so high because I gotten out of shape. My blood pressure was so high, they wouldn't even give me life insurance. I tried to get another policy. They were like, no, we're not going to insure you for shit. And the great thing I can report is that after I lost the weight and started running, my health had apparently gotten so much better that I actually got preferred status. I got another policy. It was a really big one because I had to, because I got to protect a lot of people, a lot of assets. And they gave it to me, and the rate was actually really, really good, about half of what I thought it was going to be. And my insurance agent said it's because, your weight loss has really helped you in terms of making you a good person to insure. So hopefully that means I'll be around getting on your nerves for the next 40 or 50 years. If I just get another 20 years, I'll be happy with that, to be honest with you. So what's going on? I see Denver, Colorado for Lisa. Oh, I know Denver, a lot of people in Denver. I see Pittsburgh, DJ Darkside. What's going on, my man? How you doing? Arletha from LA. I see Detroit, Sergio, Fontana, California. Dallas, Texas, Terrell, Arkansas, Canton, Ohio, Sacramento. All right, so let me jump into this. I'm gonna open up this article in NBC that I want to tell you guys about. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button, and also make sure you subscribe. If you want to support what we're doing and be a part of it, you can actually do that at intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. We're also on iTunes, so you can subscribe on iTunes and listen to us on your way to work, whatever it is you got going on. And actually, I want to say what's up to my friend Deshaun Farad. Deshaun Farad is a very dedicated, very intelligent Black journalist, and I just want to make sure he gets his props. Okay, so here's what we were reading about. We were reading this article earlier from this guy who writes for NBC. So this is the way the game is played. The way the game is played is that the way whites exert their imperialism onto the psyches of Black folk is they have their selected Negroes, the Negroes that they like, the ones that they pick, the ones who fit their agenda, and they put these Negroes on big platforms so they can speak down to Black people. So it's like you take the Black person that fits whatever ideology you're trying to mass promote, whatever agenda you have. In this case, it happens to be the gay agenda, but it could be something else. It could be the Democratic Party agenda or whatever. So you put that Negro up above all the other Black people, and you let that Negro talk down. So you manufacture Black leadership that way. like DeRay McKeeson, the head of the guy that's head of Black Lives Matter and all that. Like, it's not a coincidence that he happens to also be gay. It's not a coincidence that Obama was applauded as the first gay president. Like, they literally, put out an article where they said, that Obama's the first gay president. I'm not making this up. This is literally what Newsweek put on the cover. And they did that because that's sort of what, what's in style with white folks right now. Like, that's what they like. They like to see Black people who believe what they believe, because inherently the white supremacy that they exhibit, it shows itself in very subtle ways. It doesn't show itself with them calling you, niggers. Like that's old school. They did that back, 200 years ago. No smart white person will call you a nigger now, right? Even other white people will punish him, right? What they do instead is they call you nigger in very subtle ways, like almost like when I would go to school when I was a little kid, and I would have like a white female school teacher. Anybody ever have those like white teachers who talk down on you, like you're the most ignorant motherfucker on earth, like you are just like you're just screwed up, and that you need to like sit down and calm down and change and take medication and just be a different person for them to accept you? Like, they don't understand how that is actually a form of white supremacy. That white supremacy steps out in what you might call paternalism. Paternalism is where I feel like I gotta take care of you like you're a dumb little baby, like you're just stupid, and the best thing I can do is make you more like me, so that you can be a better person, right? So that's kind of what you get through media also. You get these agendas, these Hollywood agendas, where they sit around and they say, my God, these Black people, they're so filled with toxic masculinity and homophobia. And the best thing we can do for these Negroes is to educate them and make them understand that this is not the way to be. That what they're saying, they're going to church and they're listening to their pastors who are telling them that XYZ about the Bible and blah, 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 blah. And that's just so ignorant. We need to help these people. And that just really speaks to white arrogance. White arrogance is not just something that's done to Black people. It's done all around the world. White arrogance is where white people, it's shown in a couple of ways, on a microcosmic level and a macro level. And micro level is when you are, I'll tell you an example. With me and my girl we went to, she makes me go to like stuff I might not normally go to. Like, we went to some sort of like a symphony, right? I'm not a person that's gonna, go to the symphony on my own, but she's beautiful. I mean, man, just gorgeous. And I love her and I will follow her anywhere. So she said, let's go to the symphony. I was like, okay, wherever you want to go, let's do it, baby. So we went to the symphony, right? So we're in the symphony and the orchestra's playing and music is like in her background. She actually went to a performing arts school. So she was in there and they're playing the violins and the pianos, and just, it was cool. It was actually really cool. And so the kids were talking, and we were talking to the kids. We were like, okay, y'all be quiet, blah, 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 or pick up there's your peanut butter sandwich, like little some of that. And this white woman that we didn't even know, like, that's like 4 seats over, looks over at us and she goes, shh. And we were like, do I know you? Like, who the fuck are you? Like what? Are you really shushing me like we're children? Like, did you really just shush us? Now, mind you, I'm a grown ass man. She's a grown ass woman, and we both got PhDs and kids. Like, we both got doctorates and children, and you're shushing us like we're 9 years old, and you don't even know us. Like, but that's what they do. It's like those white folks. They see Black people just chilling, having a barbecue, enjoying their day, and they're like, what are you doing over there? You need to stop. Officer, I need backup, officer, because Black people are barbecuing. Like they minding they don't know how to like mind their own damn business, right? And so if you look at that on a global level, that's pretty much American foreign policy. It's basically a bunch of white people who think they're better than everybody, who think that their worldview is superior to everyone else, and they feel that it's their job to civilize all the savages around the world and help them to see the light, right? And they pretty much go and they intervene and interfere in other countries' sovereignty and in their own domestic policy. Like, they'll come to a country that ain't said shit to them, a country that ain't even asked, uninvited, unsolicited. And they'll come in and say, your policy on homosexuality is wrong, and we need to fix that. And they're like, we're not running around saying that we need to fix y'all. Because we know how to mind our own damn business. Like we have this thing, this part of our culture called mind your own motherfucking business, and we practice that on a daily basis. Y'all need to get a clue. Seriously, like, white people really, like, they need to take some medication called mind your own goddamn business. And so I feel so it's connected, right? It's connected to this paternalism, this idea that because I'm superior to you, right? And because I feel like I want to help you by making you more like me, I'm going to intervene and remind you of how ignorant you are. And so that maybe one day you'll see the light and you'll one day want to be like me, right? Now, by the way, it's late at night, so I'll probably cuss a little extra at nighttime. So you might want to put your kids to bed, unless you're like I was when I was a kid. My parents didn't care. They had us listening to Richard Pryor and all that when I was, so cussing wasn't no thing in our household. We heard at least 47 cuss words a day. So don't blame it on me, blame it on my daddy. And now I'm feeling really self-conscious because I got Queen Vicky Dillard in here, and Vicky Dillard, she don't never cuss. She's so disciplined, she's so smart, and but would light your ass up if you mess with her. But I'm gonna say I love Vicky, and she is so awesome and so smart. And it's smart Black women like Vicky Dillard that really give me hope for the future, because we got a lot of other smart sisters and brothers out here in the world. And I want to let you guys know, every one of you are appreciated. Okay, so let me pull up this NBC article. Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done that yet. So let me read a little bit more. So the article is titled Nipsey Hussle's Murder, Homophobia, and the Toxic Black Masculinity That Fuels It. So that's literally the title. The title alone is like, what the fuck, man? And maybe that's what they're trying to do. Maybe that's what they're doing. They're trying to get get like the LGBT crew riled up, get the white liberals riled up, and they don't care what we think because we're just a bunch of ignorant savages who need to be educated, right? So literally the title of this article, which was written by a guy I never heard of named George Johnson. But George, it looks like George's gonna get a little come up off of this, because he's white people like him now, so that means he'll be making lots of money. It's long held tradition. Negroes who suck up to white folks get paid very well. It's so Nipsey Hussle's Murder, Homophobia, and the Toxic Black Masculinity That Fuels It. Not just toxic masculinity, but toxic Black masculinity. So it's Black toxic masculinity. So that's just nasty. All right. So here's the part. I'm gonna scroll down to where I was when I went on the run, and you guys can go and look at part 1 of the video on drboystv.com if you want to, in order to. You said my nose. I got like a booger or something. You said your nose, doc. I don't. Let me see. No, I think my nose is okay. See, now you got me all distracted. So we were talking about Terry Crews, and the guy says one example of Black male toxic masculinity is the fact that Black men like D.L. Hughley, who else? There was D.L. Hughley and a couple other people made fun of Terry Crews when he claimed that he was part of the Me Too movement and that he was basically, I guess, a sexual assault victim because a white man that he could have easily thrown off the balcony grabbed him by his testicles, and he was traumatized, and I guess he needs therapy or something, or maybe some extra tampons. Okay, so he thinks that he defines that as toxic masculinity. And so I guess I'd be included in that group. He probably is not happy with the fact that I just thought it was, I thought it was hilarious that this man, Terry Crews, 6'2", 245 pounds, is crying, like testifying and crying because another man grabbed him by his testicles. Now, I'm not trying to say that a man can't cry. A man can cry. Like I told Alicia, I said, I'll cry for you, but I'm not gonna cry for something like that. Because I only time I will be crying after something like that happened is I will be crying because I beat his ass in public, and now I got to go to jail and I got to pay legal fees, and maybe if I didn't have enough money to pay my legal fees, I'll probably be upset about that. But I would not be crying because I felt that somehow I was victimized and could not respond. Because my question with Terry Crews was, okay, Black man, you were born a slave in America. If that's what that's kind of, for some of us, it's tough, right? It's tough out here for brothers, right? So maybe in America, you could argue I was born a slave. I was born, with a white man's foot on my neck. But now you're a grown ass man. You're in your 40s. You've made millions of dollars. You're a world famous actor. How rich do you have to be before you don't have to run around scared, so scared of white men that you will let them grab you by your nuts like you are a little bitch? Like at what point, like how much money do you have to have? I mean, let's say he's got 5 million in the bank or a net worth of 10 million. I don't know. I'm sure, let's look at celebrity net worth. Let's see, I'm gonna Google this, right? Terry Crews net worth. Okay, his net worth, let me look, I'm gonna type 2018. Terry Crews' net worth is estimated to be $20 million. So I can, we can get this, right? If you're a black man who is, one paycheck away from being homeless, deep in debt, can barely afford to buy your kids a Happy Meal, I can understand why, something like that might happen to you and you feel that you can't retaliate because your family's not going to eat if you buck up, right? Master's going to beat you down and your children will starve. I can understand that, but you're worth $20 million, bro. You're worth $20 million and you're 6'2", 245 pounds. How much money do you have to have before you believe that you are man enough to stand up to a white man who just grabbed your balls in public? Because he's not going to let, if Terry had grabbed him, it would have been a whole different situation. Terry would have paid a big price for that. Maybe he wouldn't have beat Terry up because he couldn't do that, but Terry would have got handled. He would have dealt with Terry. And so I'm just sitting here trying to figure out where in the world that, we as a community think that it's normal that one of the biggest, strongest, seemingly most masculine men on television has reduced himself to be, a 5 foot, 100-pound white woman. Like, I just don't see that. I just don't get that. I don't think that that's good for the culture, good for the community, because the black man has always fought for his masculinity. He's always fought to be, to define himself and to be defined as a man in this society. And so what you're basically telling me is that even when you got $20 million in the bank, you still don't feel comfortable being man enough to defend yourself when somebody sexually assaults you in public. And you're 6'2", 245 pounds. So what basically happened is that Terry, his car got pulled, his whole car got pulled by real men who basically said, no, man, you don't let somebody do that to you. Like, that's something that you just, that nobody's going to respect you at that point. So, and I think a lot of people in the community agree with that. And that doesn't make you, filled with toxic masculinity. That doesn't make you ignorant. Maybe that means that you have some fucking dignity. Maybe that means you have self-esteem. Maybe that means that you've got enough pride in yourself that you're not going to let white people grab you by the pussy because they're going to pay you a couple extra dollars. Like, seriously, that's what it is. That's so anyway, so Terry's illusion, Terry's idea that he can't do anything, that he was just trapped in the closet and couldn't respond and couldn't do it, that the white man just has so much power over him that he just had to go home and cry. That's an idea, that's a concept that should be ridiculed by everyone. And there's nothing toxic about that. There's nothing toxic about having black pride. There's nothing toxic about saying, if you touch me again, I'm going to lift you up and I'm going to throw you over this damn balcony. Don't you ever do that to me again. Because I'm a man, goddammit, and you will not take that away from me. You can take all my money, you can take all my fame, you can take all my movies, but you know what? I got 20 million in the bank and I can go start a business. I can start a production company. I can go take care of my family, and I'm not going to let you degrade me in order for me to get a part in one of your movies. So anyway, let me keep going. Let me see here. Somebody said, I hope he talks about Yvette discussing Dr. Anderson. I'm not going to talk about Yvette discussing Dr. Anderson because I think it's just very basic, plain and simple, that if you're part of the creation of the ADOS movement, American Descendants of Slavery, that's what it stands for, and you're asking for reparations, you can't do that, or better yet, it undermines your ability to achieve the goal if you're fighting for reparations and at the same time you're disrespecting the leaders of the reparations movement who were fighting for reparations before you were born. That's destructive, it's disrespectful, and I don't think it should be tolerated by anybody who has any ounce of decency about them. Dr. Claude Anderson, the book is right here. Dr. Claude Anderson wrote books like Powernomics and Black Labor, White Wealth, and was talking about reparations 40, 50 years ago. He was fighting on this stuff years ago. He spent tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on a federal government lawsuit on the 1866 Indian Treaty to get billions of dollars that was stolen from Black people on reparations. So you cannot have a reparations movement and claim that you're representing Black people and disrespect Dr. Claude Anderson or disrespect Louis Farrakhan. And I think that's what, when you look at the ADOS movement, that's what the individuals who created this movement are going to have to confront. And the other thing too is that when you're truly in a leadership capacity, you have to achieve a degree of self-actualization where you need to stop thinking that all this is about you. It ain't about you. It ain't about who gets all the goddamn credit. It ain't about who you got a beef with or what petty issue you got with somebody else or I don't like him or I don't like him. No, we all in this shit together. And as Black people, we must find a way to work together. So if you want my opinion on ADOS, if you want my opinion on the ADOS movement, my opinion is that movement is bigger than everyone. It is bigger than me. It is even bigger than Claude Anderson. It is bigger than the founders of the movement. Nobody owns that movement. That is not a movement that's owned by anybody because we're all in the same gang. We're all in the same family. We all have the same experience. We all have similar rights when it comes to fighting for the reparations that are deserved by our community. So I will not personally engage in or tolerate any kind of pettiness or small-minded, immature, tiny Negro-minded behavior when it comes to us fighting together on any of this. So that's my opinion on it. That's my position on it. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So let me keep moving. Let me keep reading this article. And I will support the movement, and I don't really care about who's beefing with who. Like, y'all need to quit that dumb shit. That's childish. That's some little kid stuff, man. Come on, seriously. If you're trying to really lead a community, you need to get over yourself and realize that it ain't about you. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than that. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that nigga over there. That nigga need to stop. Blah 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 blah. No. If you can't find a constructive way to express your own ideas, if you disagree with somebody's perspective, that's fine. But when you get to the point where you're trying to systematically dismantle and tear people down and deconstruct people and destroy them and discredit them, then you might as well become a white supremacist. You might as well go put on a hoodie and a robe and call yourself a Klansman, because basically that's effectively what you're doing. When you go and you try to attack Louis Farrakhan, what the hell's wrong with you, man? You can disagree with him. You can say, that I like this and I don't like that. You can say that I have a different opinion. That's fine. But you don't take a person that's put 70 years into creating an infrastructure that even allows your Black ass to exist, that even allows you to even do half of the things that you do, and then say that he's worthless. You can't do that. You cannot do that. So I think that the number one challenge that anybody affiliated with any of these movements is going to have to face is that at some point we're going to get over the petty shit and work together. So that's my opinion. I told y'all in 2019, I ain't fighting with no Black people. But one thing I will stand for and I will fight for is the fact that we need to find a way to come together and focus on the issues and not on how we feel about that Negro over there. That's silly, that's childish. That's something you do in the 8th grade. So anyway, let me keep going. So here's what the author is saying about Nipsey Hussle and his toxic masculinity. I'm going further down the article. Like I said, there's a part 1 where we cover the first half, but I'm gonna do the second half here. He says the issue here is that Black gay men still aren't seen as equals. Too often, their Blackness is reduced because of their sexuality. I can understand where he's coming from in the sense that, that I do think that there is some maltreatment toward gay Black men that needs to be addressed. However, the idea that their Blackness is reduced because of their sexuality, I think that's a little bit of a problematic statement because, a lot of people will say nobody needs to know about your sexuality. Like seriously, like if I said to everybody, I said, hey, I just want you all to know that sometimes I get sexually aroused by having sex with a cardboard box. And I need you all to validate this and to tell me that this is okay. You would probably think I was weird. You'd be like, well, boys, we really don't care how you get your freak on. We're just here to talk to you as a scholar. We just want to hear the scholarship. We don't want to talk about all this other stuff, whatever happens in your bedroom or with you and your woman or whatever. Like, that's your business, right? So I think that there are people who see it that way. So I think that if you're carrying your sexuality on your sleeve, you're gonna have an additional complexity that some would say is unnecessary because people may or may not want to even hear that. Like again in a church, the point I was making toward the end before I had to go was how many of you go to a church or went to a church and you knew that there were gay people in the church? Like you knew that the choir director was gay, or you knew that somebody that was sitting next to you was gay, right? And you just didn't care, right? You maybe you didn't think about it, maybe you thought about it for a second, but it wasn't a big deal to you. Who cares? But there's a difference between somebody having a sexuality that's different from you versus somebody who kind of puts it in your face and asks you to validate it in a way that is completely inconsistent with everything that you've been led to believe by your Bible, by your pastor, by your, by your value system. Like there are people, like, think about this. This is how oppressive and fascist the LGBT movement became under Obama. This is how fascist they became. They became like almost like Nazis, in the sense that, like, they literally will take a Christian who minded their own damn business, loving everybody, ain't never hurt nobody, ain't never called nobody out of their name or nothing. And if the Christian could say something basic, they could say, I believe that marriage is between one man and one woman. That's what I believe. And I'm not going to impose that on anybody. They will call that person a bigot. They will call that person, like, they will say, you're just like the racist. It's like, what? No, he's not going out here lynching people because they're gay. He's not telling them he's not even telling you what you can't do. He's just saying, this is what I believe. This is my belief set. So stop forcing me to change who I am and telling me that I'm a bad person when I ain't never tried to hurt nobody. And again, while I've never had a lot of skin in that game. Like, I'm not a person that, I don't go to church. I ain't gonna lie, I'm a big heathen. I just know that. You should just know this. But just looking at this from an analytical standpoint, as a scholar who believes in fairness, I'm like, well, that's not fair. How are you just gonna run up to somebody who ain't never did nothing to you and tell them that they're an evil person because they won't co-sign on whatever the hell you believe? But then I thought about it. I said, oh, that's right. People don't know how to mind their own damn business. White people don't do that. White people want to mind your business too. So I'm like, oh, that's just white people acting white. That's what that is. Because because that's just not natural. That's not normal to go up to people who didn't do anything to you, who have their own beliefs, who are living their lives, ain't minding their own damn business, and running up and saying, you're a bigot, you're a bad person, you're evil. What's wrong with you? You're so backward, you're primitive, you need to grow, you need to evolve. And that's what they're doing to black people. That's what they do to black men. They, just so you know, if you are a black man in this room, if you have not figured out that these white people do not respect you one bit, not one iota, they do not respect you in your natural element, then you need to learn that right now. They do not like you. They do not respect you. They probably sit back and pray to white Jesus that your mama had aborted you before you were even born. That's how much they hate you. That's why they want to have the abortion clinics in the hood, because they're like, damn, if they keep giving birth to these little black boys, not only is that a threat to national security, but it's a damn menace to society. That's how they feel about you. So their idea is, well, since you're here, since we didn't luck out and get your mama to abort you before you're born, and you're kind of in the way, because we're not going to integrate you into the economic system. It goes back to slavery. The reason they didn't want to free the slaves largely was because people in the North, your allies, your friends, right, the descendants of the Democratic Party, or excuse me, the predecessors, the reason they didn't want the slaves free, well, they were like, what are we going to do with all these Negroes? We don't want these black men up here, in New York City competing for jobs. Yeah, so they would come to New York thinking, oh, I'm with allies now. I'm with my friends. These people love me. And they would get lynched. They would get their ass beat because they went down to the factory trying to get a job just like the white guy did. So at the end of the day, the black man has never been respected in this country. The black man has always been seen as subhuman. That's why even in this article that I'm reading, you're reading very subtle racism, very subtle code words, like they need to evolve. Well, what does that mean? Evolve, evolution. That means that means monkeys evolve into humans. So you're saying we need to evolve? Like we're lower on the evolutionary chain than you? Like we're Neanderthals and you're like this advanced civilization? Or they need to grow up, mature. It speaks to seeing the black man as a little boy. And that's the way America is. America is a country that has always seen the black man as a little boy. Tell me if you've ever sat with white people. I mean, I'm talking about good white folks. These are the good white folks, because all white peoples ain't bad, right? So how many times have you ever sat with a good white person? And I'm not attacking white people. If you're white and you're in here, we love you. Stay, don't go, don't leave. Just stay. It's okay, you can stay. But how many times have you ever sat down with a so-called good white person and all they did was like preach at you and talk down to you and act like they were supposed to teach you something? And you just kind of start feeling annoyed and feeling insulted by that. Like that's kind of what it is. And I think that's kind of what I'm seeing in this article. So it says the issue here is that black gay men aren't seen as equals. Too often their blackness is reduced because of their sexuality. Nipsey Hussle, this is where they bring it back to Nipsey, who again worked hard to reinvest in South Central Los Angeles, was himself very concerned with the imagery of black men and appeared worried that queer people were attempting to execute a mysterious and negative agenda. Now you notice that's how they went after Sandra Bland too. They went after Sandra Bland because she also had issues with the gay agenda also. And so here I'm looking at the link that they have from the NBC article. And I'm gonna share this with you. Now this article is from The Root. Now The Root is also partnered with Very Smart Brothers, which actually it probably should be called Very Gay Brothers, because it's really kind of like a gay agenda kind of thing. And ultimately what's really happening is it's really kind of a covert war where they're sort of funding the promotion of a set of ideas that they are hoping to impose on the black community. So this is warfare. This is how warfare is done without weapons. And so it's like how the Chinese aren't the people that are going to show up with Navy ships, on your coast and send 10,000 troops to invade your borders. The Chinese are the ones who are going to come get you economically, right? So white folks, a lot of times, the war on black people, sometimes it becomes violent, but most of it is usually a war through media, a war through education. It's a war of the mind. So that's why the black man has to have his mind right in order to fight in this war. If your mind ain't right, then you're pretty much going to be a victim. You're going to be attacked. So here's where this article was in The Root. And they were basically pointing out Nipsey Hussle. This was before he died. So this was literally about 3 months ago. And The Root is very much, it's a white-owned publication run by a bunch of racist people from south of the border, who basically have this interesting model of getting these specifically chosen, handpicked Negroes to write, commentary that promotes, a lot of the gay agenda, but also kind of seeks to dismantle black people who are in the space that promotes black cultural strength and integrity, or independence, or a do-for-self mentality. Like they love to make fun of what, they might call them the hoteppers or the conscious community. They love to make fun of anybody who believes black people can do for self. They tend to be individuals that believe that black assimilation and conformity and integration is the only pathway for black success. And so their definition of blackness, their definition of wokeness is kind of like reduced to, we're all going to go to get our degree at Brown University, and then we're going to all complain about how the faculty at Brown University treated us badly because we were black, right? So it's kind of like this sort of weak, wimpy ass, I'm gonna, just sort of try to integrate and complain about the way I'm treated sort of model. Whereas I would say that if you talk about an agenda from someone like me, because everybody's got an agenda, just in case you don't know, I have an agenda. My agenda is we give this whole integration thing the middle finger. We say thank you, but no thank you. We build for self. We do for self. We take what we got. We take our 1.3 trillion in spending power, and we turn that into 1.3 trillion in investing power, and we build a little economy. I felt much freer and stronger as a black man when I had my own little business that wasn't making a whole lot of money than I felt when I was making more money and I was somebody's slave, because if I'm somebody's slave, that means somebody can do a Terry Crews on me and come up and grab you by the pussy, and you can't do anything about it. All you can do is go home and cry to your woman, and then she's looking at you like you crazy because she's wondering why you're 6'2", 245 pounds, and you can't even take on a white man. A white man has so much power over your life that he can grab you in your vagina and you still can't do anything about it. So I don't want that. I don't want, I don't want to go to work and feel like I'm so much a slave that because I've done this integration thing and I'm walking on eggshells and I'm trying to sort of fit in with white people and I just want them to like me and I don't want them to tell me I'm a bad person. I don't want them to help me feed my family. And I don't want to be in a situation where because I'm on eggshells, I'm letting you degrade me and humiliate me in a way that really kills my humanity. But also, you want to talk about toxic masculinity. Well, sure, you can say masculinity. I agree. Masculinity can certainly be toxic if it goes overboard, but ain't nothing more toxic than workplace racism. Ain't nothing more toxic than microaggression that you would endure in the workplace, working around white folks who are looking down on you and damn near laughing at you because you're so economically broken as a community that you have nowhere to go, right? There's nothing more toxic than getting up every day and your stomach turning in the morning because you got to go every day and work around people where you feel every day you're being racially harassed and assaulted. But they don't have terminology for that. The liberals have not invented terms to describe racial harassment in a way that they describe, sexual harassment. So there is no Me Too movement for you. There is no Me Too Black movement. There is nothing that allows you to do what a white woman can do and come back 30 years and say, let me tell you about the trauma that my boss put me through back in 1995 when I was put through so much racial disrespect. I was put through so much stress. I was put through so much trauma that I have PTSD and had to go see a therapist, and I spent 20 years self-medicating in a bottle of liquor every night because I couldn't stand going to work every day. Tell me if you or anybody you know has ever had that experience in the workplace. Tell me if any of you know anybody you've known. You probably know 10 people. You probably name 10 people that have dealt with the worst, most toxic, most disgusting, most debilitating, most destructive energy in the workplace. So you want to talk about toxic masculinity? No, motherfucker. Talk about toxic racism first. Talk about that. Excuse my French. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cuss, but I'm serious. Like, man, shut up. Shut up. You're talking about black male toxic masculinity like black males are the reason for all the problems in the world. Black men, what power do we have to shape national policy and to oppress other people and to make their lives miserable? Seriously, even the little bit of power we do have, y'all jumping in that, trying to mess that up. Like seriously, I mean, again, Nipsey Hussle was a hero. He was a great black man because he was trying to do great things. He was trying to restore dignity and pride to a community that lost a little bit of its swag when white folks came in and planted crack and drugs and guns and all kinds of shit in the neighborhood. Just totally fucked up Crenshaw, fucked up South Central to the point where somebody, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in his own gang decides I want to kill his ass and shoots him in front of his children, in front of the whole community. So all these people are heartbroken. Millions of people around the world are heartbroken and traumatized because this was one of the few rays of hope that we had in the community. We were like, think about this. To tell you how tough it was for the black man, we literally were walking around celebrating that we had at least one rapper who didn't just ignore and forget about black people. We had at least one rapper who believed that black men should be intelligent and not just stupid the way white people want us to be. We had one rapper who just literally would say simple things that everybody should be saying, like you should own property instead of rent property. You should build wealth instead of give wealth away. We celebrated that because that was all we didn't have much else. We didn't have a whole lot of Nips. We should have 100,000 Nipsey Hussles, but we had one. And white supremacy took that one. They took that one. Like seriously, I've heard the whole debate all week. I've heard people go back and forth, and they're like, well, do you think, Doc, do you think Nipsey Hussle was killed in random act of violence? And do you think he was killed, by government conspiracy? The government has something. I thought about that, and today I figured it out. Because I need receipts. I'm not a natural conspiracy theorist. I need proof. I need you to show me evidence that there was government involvement. But I figured it out today in the grocery store while I was out buying some chocolate chip cookies that my girl don't want me to eat. As I was picking up the cookies, I realized, I said, no, wait a minute. I know it was definitely the government that killed Nipsey Hussle. It was definitely a government conspiracy. And let me tell you why. Either A, there was a straightforward government conspiracy where the government paid an agent to come in and kill him to pretend like it was a beef between two guys, when really the guy who was actually a snitch, because Nipsey confronted him for being a snitch, and so if you're a snitch, that means you did something for the government, right? And usually if you work for the government once, they don't just let you go, like they're gonna come back and get you because they always got something on you. So yeah, that's a possibility. I'm not saying that that's not possible. The government has done worse things, but here's the thing: even if that was not true in this particular case, even if the government was not directly involved in whatever this guy, Eric Holder, or whoever killed him, whatever crime he committed, the government conspiracy was in place. The fix was in 30 years ago when the government came and planted crack cocaine and AK-47s in South Central Los Angeles. The fix was in when the government decided not only were they going to inundate a very powerful Black community, a very progressive Black community, inundate them with drugs and guns, but they were also going to set up a situation where if you were a Black man, odds were either you got killed while you were young, or you went to prison for killing somebody in order to defend yourself, for self-defense, because Black men don't get self-defense in court. That shit don't work. Or you were addicted to the drugs that were being sold in the community, or you were a survivor of all of this chaos and you spent your life with PTSD, which would significantly inhibit your ability to be the productive member of society you would have been born had you been able to grow up in a safe community where you didn't have to worry about another 16-year-old rolling up on you with an AK-47 and shooting you down on your way to your math test. Like so the government conspiracy was always that. The entire environment that these two men were operating in was nothing more than the product of a government conspiracy. That environment was one in which these two Black men should never have been in a position where somebody had to worry about somebody killing the other one, because that don't happen in normal communities. That don't happen in regular neighborhoods. In regular neighborhoods, two guys get into a heated dispute and then maybe somebody gets punched, but that's going to be the worst. This idea that, like, if I argue with you, if you feel like I fronted on you, you might come back and shoot me in front of my daughter. Like, that's an unnatural environment. That's a war zone that was manufactured by the United States government. That was proven. There is no debate in that particular conspiracy theory. The government's involvement in the creation of a war zone called Crenshaw, South Central Los Angeles, that shit went down in the early 1970s. So yes, that is undeniable proof that Nipsey Hussle did die as the result of a government conspiracy. So that's my verdict on that. That's what I believe. Let me keep going. Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done this yet. Just so you know, you're at drboycetv.com. This is a home for intelligent Black people. I want to remind you guys that we're on iTunes and SoundCloud. So if you download iTunes or SoundCloud, both apps are free, I believe. You can listen. You just look up my name on iTunes or SoundCloud. You can find it. Also, if you want to get a text alert when I go live, just text voice to 31996. YouTube does not send out alerts because I guess I run my mouth and I'm over the top with, I guess, with my Blackness. I don't know what I think I'm just telling the truth, but then again, people don't always agree. But either way, YouTube does not always send out alerts. Facebook doesn't send out alerts. So if you want to get an alert, please text the word voice to 31996 and you will be on the text list. So let's keep going. So this person in NBC.com, NBCnews.com, George Johnson, who just got a book deal, which makes sense. That's about par for the course. You go around dissing and attacking Black people. Of course, they're going to reward you for that. Dr. Claude Anderson talks about that in Powernomics. It's called meritorious manumission. It's been true since slavery. And he says, Nipsey Hussle, who again worked hard to reinvest in South Central Los Angeles, was himself very concerned with the imagery of Black men and appeared worried that queer people were attempting to execute a mysterious and negative agenda. And so it's kind of not disrespectful, trashy, tacky as fuck. Maybe that's what I'm looking for. Very tacky. Text voice to 31996. My H is 31996. Somebody type it in. It's tacky as hell, I think, to attack a dead man right after he died. Like I really think that if you're talking about, more mainstream figures, like if Bill Clinton died tomorrow, I think that people would probably have an issue. I don't think NBC will publish an article where they talk about all the women who accused Bill Clinton of rape. And if you talk about other white people, like if Barack Obama died tomorrow, he's the first gay president. If Barack Obama died tomorrow, I don't think NBC will publish an article, where somebody can speak negative about Barack or the fact that he did nothing for the Black community, right? So I think that that's part of what I think we should also observe in terms of the disrespect that goes toward the Black male. That they kind of think that's okay, and it's not okay. Like it's not okay when Mark Lamont Hill, for example, decides that right after Frances Cress Welsing dies, like like body ain't even cold yet, you're gonna start talking about the issue you had with her position on homosexuality. I think you can have that conversation 3 years after she died, maybe 2 years after she dies. But literally, I mean, really, man, like right after she dies, Oprah, at least Oprah waited a decade before she decided to start attacking Michael Jackson. Now, one thing about Oprah that's interesting is, I don't know if you guys know this, but Oprah actually took down a lot of her tweets attacking Michael Jackson. So I think that those voices are being heard. Like I think Oprah's hearing the voices in the Black community. Like we had a hashtag called Oprah So White. And I just created the hashtag because I just felt like, you acting like a white woman right now. And I guess the hashtag took off. I saw thousands of posts on Oprah So White. It actually became kind of fun. And I don't know if Oprah saw some of that or whatever she saw, but whatever it was, there were reports that she took down all those tweets and everything. So your voice does get heard, like intelligent Black media, for example, I might reach 1 million people a month, or it's not a month, sorry, 1 million people a week actually, which ain't really that big in the whole scheme of things, but it's big enough that you can make a difference. And I think that that's important because I think that we need to make sure our voices are heard. Because I think that they think that they can just say and do things with impunity, almost like Black people don't exist, or like we're like little animals or little pets that you can just ignore. It's like, no, we're not animals, we're not children, we're not your pets. We're not the voiceless. We are individuals that should have a voice. So that's why I think voices like Vicky Dillard and other people out here that are saying things that need to be heard. I think that those voices should be amplified to be part of the conversation. So basically, he says Nipsey felt that there was a gay agenda, which I agree with Nipsey. So they can say, I guess we both have toxic masculinity. He says such language is often used to criticize LGBTQ people for being too openly proud of their sexual orientation, or even worse, for allegedly influencing others to live openly gay as well. That's an interesting statement. So he says such language is often used to criticize LGBT. No, I think that what it is, like, so if you're listening, if maybe somebody from NBC or from the LGBTQ movement is listening, and actually, what we do have gay people that come in, to the podcast, and I love you guys. I love every person that's in here, every person that wants to be Black and intelligent. You have my respect. I think that what people don't like is the self-righteous, condescending way that things are shoved into people's faces. I think that's the issue. It's like you're trying to fight for your own rights, but the problem is that when you're fighting a little bit too hard, you can end up trampling on the rights of others. Like, so for example, Chick-fil-A down in San Antonio, somebody wanted to set up a little Chick-fil-A franchise in the airport, and the city council votes that they can't have a franchise in the airport because they discriminate against gay people. And Chick-fil-A is like, no, we're just Christians. We believe what's in the Bible. We believe marriage should be between one man and one woman, but that ain't got shit to do with your chicken and your lemonade. Like, you can still get your chicken and your lemonade, and we're not going to make a gay person's chicken and lemonade any different from a straight person. We just believe that we have the right to believe what we're going to believe. And that's it. And it's okay for them to do that, right? It's okay for them to do that. But the thing is, when you get to the point where you are doing what liberals tend to do, is they love to do what I call social engineering. They love to look at the world and say, this ain't right. This should be different. So we're going to force everyone to see the world the way we see the world. We're going to manipulate you. We're going to use media. We're going to shame you. We're going to attack you. We're going to bully the fuck out of you until you get in line with what we want you to believe. No, we're not going to let Nipsey Hussle sit over there and live his own life and do his thing and simply say, I believe that the image of the black male needs to be one of masculinity, one of fatherhood, one of strength. No, we're not going to let him just sit over there and have his worldview. We're going to come and we're going to come to uninvited into your space and tell you why you're ignorant and why you need to evolve. Remember that racist word evolve. Why you need to evolve, because you ignorant black men are filled with toxic masculinity. And the way that they approach the black male, you cannot, in America, you cannot disconnect the way people speak to the black male from the way the black male is treated all throughout society. Like, you cannot disconnect the wording in this article, the fact that NBC chose to put this particular Negroes article in here, where there's 1,000 black writers out, there's 1 million black people that out here that can write a good article, right? There's smart, brilliant people like Tiara KJ Williams, a sister that's on here right now. Like, there's a lot of brilliant people that could be on NBC, but there are certain people that are handpicked and selected for these platforms based on their willingness to impose an agenda on other people. So you can't disconnect all of this in the way the black male is discussed in media, the way the black male is presented in media, why they would rather put, a killer gangster thug or a gay black man on TV as opposed to a black scholar or black attorney, that you cannot disconnect any of that from what you're reading in this article right now. It's all connected. It all comes back to white supremacy. So let's keep going. So he says, let's see here. He says, such language is often used to criticize LGBTQ people for being openly proud. Okay. So he says, meanwhile, 2 gay black men have fatally overdosed at Ed Buck's home over the past 2 years. I don't know what that has to do with Nipsey Hussle. I don't know. I mean, I don't think Nipsey was at Ed Buck's house when this happened. So I don't know why he proceeds bringing it up, but I can see his rhythm. His rhythm appears to be like, I'm gonna attack black men, then I'm gonna tell an anecdote, a terrible anecdote about something horrible that happens to a gay man. Then I'm gonna attack black men again, then I'm gonna tell another terrible story about, because we all talked about the Ed Buck thing. Like, everybody, I mean, a lot of people know about that. I hope you do. I mean, Ed Buck is basically a white liberal guy, a white liberal Democratic donor who was bringing black men to his house, gay black men to his house, and basically killing them by injecting them with crystal meth or whatever the hell he was doing. And nobody in the Democratic Party has said anything about it because he was an important donor. Where is the widespread outrage from the black community? I don't know what black community he lives in, but the community that I know about has really been pissed off about Ed Buck. They would much rather have watched a documentary on Ed Buck than to watch one on R. Kelly. Don't get me wrong, R. Kelly is a son of a bitch. I'm not saying that he's a good man at all. I don't like R. Kelly's activities at all. But I think an Ed Buck documentary would probably be more appropriate, because last time I checked, R. Kelly didn't kill anybody. This man's killed 2 people. And so I don't know what community he's in, but there has been widespread outrage. He says, where are the marches and protests? Could this lackluster response be related to an unspoken feeling that men like that deserve what they have coming? No, that's just stupid. That doesn't make any sense. I don't think anybody feels that way. I don't know. Tell me what you think. I mean, I've seen a lot of you say things about Ed Buck. I don't, I think that he should probably speak to the people at NBC. Why haven't you reported on Ed Buck? Why isn't your boss, your master? Why isn't your man? If you're working at the Root, what has the Root been saying about Ed Buck? I'm not saying the Root hasn't said anything. I'm just saying, a lot of times what people respond to is driven partly by media. So I agree with you. I think we should talk more about it. He says, queer men and heterosexual men often talk at each other and about each other, but rarely with each other. Although many of us navigate the same spaces, it is apparently never the right time or this particular conversation. This is why so many of us air our grievances in the aftermath of a tragedy. I grew up in a black family. Okay, you're a black man, so I assume you had a black family. We heard the stories of my uncles running the streets and getting into shootouts. I grew up in a black community where friends of mine joined gangs and used dominance and violence to earn the neighborhood's respect. Social media has a way of making people seem disconnected when realistically we are all products of our environment and our experience. Colonized to hate and separate based on the ideals of white supremacy, with manhood and masculinity determined by dangerous principles that most often leave black folk dead or wounded, both emotionally and physically. So do you think that our perception of manhood and masculinity is something that leads most black men? I mean, if I think masculinity means taking care of my kids, is that gonna kill me? Does that put me in the grave? No. If I think manhood, I think masculinity means protecting my woman. I haven't had any gunfights over Alicia. I haven't had to pull out the strap to protect Alicia. But I guess I'd be willing to. Maybe there are areas of manhood though that do involve seemingly dangerous principles. Like for example, if somebody invades your community or invades your country, somebody got to stand up. Everybody can't hide. If somebody breaks into my house and looks like they coming to hurt my family, we can't all be hiding under the bed. We can't all be like sitting back crying and saying, well, I don't want to be, I can say, well, I don't want to have toxic masculinity. So I'm just going to sit in the closet with the kids and hide with the kids. I can't do that. My masculinity is what makes me say, y'all stay in the closet, stay under the bed, be quiet. I'm going to go get the baseball bat. Right. Like and so masculinity is not a bad thing in itself. Masculinity is necessary in any ecosystem of animals that are seeking to reproduce. There is a reason. And this is not politically driven. This is not something somebody came up with. This isn't this isn't something somebody told you to do. It's biological. Like you said, like Stacey said, it's biological. It's, I was watching a documentary about how I love watching how mammals choose who to mate with. I'm utterly fascinated by that survival of the fittest concepts. And I was watching this female doe, and she was in heat, which basically meant she was horny. She wanted to have sex, and she went to find a man to have sex with because it was mating season. So she basically went to this group of males, and men, like the male bucks, they're all horny. They're all a bunch of men. You know how men are, right? And now maybe this guy would say that they all had toxic masculinity, which is why they all wanted to have sex, because apparently the male penis has now been outlawed in America if you're using it on a woman. But I guess if you're using it on a man, then it's okay, right? Because I mean, that you can get Me Too for anything. You have sex, even if someone offers you sex, and if you take it and y'all work together, they're gonna Me Too your ass. That's why I tell black men, do not sleep with anybody that you work with. Do not do that, because if you do that, you are asking for a death sentence to your career. I just want to say that to you right now. If you're a black man and you work in a professional setting, I'm just tell you like my daddy said. My daddy said, don't you F nobody on your job. When I took that job at Syracuse, he said, don't you F nobody on that campus. I'm trying not to cuss. I'm trying to be polite. Anyway, so I'm watching this female deer, this doe, looking for a man to have sex with, and she walks up to this group of males, and they explain the mating process perfectly. And again, these males had not been trained to have toxic masculinity. They just were behaving naturally. And so she walks up to the group of the males, and they basically said that the way you know who the alpha male is all the, like 20 of the bucks would all be in a circle, and they said the alpha is the one in the middle. If you can hold down the territory in the middle, then that meant you were the strongest one. And all the little weaklings would be on the outside. So she walked up, and it almost looked like a pretty girl walking into the club. So basically, all the bucks were like, "Hey, girl, what's going on? Like, what you doing tonight? Where you live at? Can I get your number, right? Can I slide in your DM, right?" Like they're trying to holler, right? And the narrator's like, "Yes, as the doe is heading to the center, all the males are looking to appeal to her so they can have sex too." Blah blah blah. Right? So he's narrating this, and it's happening just as he's narrating it, and all the male bucks are trying to sleep with the female. And so, but the thing is, she doesn't want them. She doesn't want the weaklings. She wants the alpha male. She wants the one that's filled with all this toxic masculinity, right? And because he's the alpha, well, why did he become the alpha? Because he basically showed the other, bucks, like, if you mess with me, I will fuck you up. And so basically, literally, she works, and they said, well, as she gets closer, the options get more appealing because the males are getting stronger. So each time she's taking a little extra time to like sniff them out, because animals, that when they're trying to figure out who they want to sleep with, they kind of sniff each other's butts and all that, right? So I don't know what she was doing, but she was sizing them up, and she was taking her time and thinking it through. But then she would still like keep passing them up, and she went all the way to the middle. And the guy right in the middle, that's the one she had sex with, and they had sex. And it was over. She was pregnant, and then she ran off into the woods. She was done. It was like hit it and quit it. And that was fascinating to me, because when I see that, that shows me, what mammals are made of. And human beings, whether you know it or not, human beings are mammals. Like now we want to believe that we are better than animals and we're above that and all that. And I studied that a lot too. There's a professor named Ken Sapolsky at Stanford who does these amazing lectures on the difference between the human brain and the animal brain. And basically, according to Professor Sapolsky, he says that the difference between the human brain and the animal brain is about 5%. 5%. So 5% of you is what differs between you and what you want and a bear. And that 5% is what they call the prefrontal cortex, which links to your logical thinking. And that's why you can play chess and write operas and do calculus and do things animals can't do. So long story short, the point is that a lot of the things that we call toxic masculinity is really just human nature. And what I think that we have to do is when we have these conversations about toxic masculinity, we have to have them in a way where we don't get stupid. Stop trying to take every man who's a strong man who ain't hurt nobody and telling him something's wrong with him. No, if you're a man, if you're a real man, be proud of that. The Black community needs real men. The reason we need real men is because they worked so hard since slavery to keep you from being a man. So Nipsey Hussle and myself, I'm in this category too. I think that what Nipsey was probably saying is we just need men who are going to stand up. We need men who will defend the community. We need men who will defend the Black woman. We need men who will be something that our mothers and our sisters and our daughters can be proud of, and our wives can look at and say, that's my man. That's my man. We had a problem in the household. My man took care of it. When my grandma said, when she would tell my grandfather, we ain't got enough money to pay the rent, he'd say, I got this. I'll be back. If somebody tried to threaten the family, he would defend the family. She would say, that's my man. My man's going to get you. Black women deserve that. They deserve to be able to have men that they know when there's a problem, the man's going to solve it. And sometimes it might mean solving it physically, but a lot of times it means solving it with this. So if you talk about masculinity, it ain't just the ability to pull out a gun and shoot somebody, but that might be part of it. We need soldiers in communities like every other community that defends itself. You need people that are willing to pull out the gun, but that's not the only requirement for masculinity, right? But masculinity also means, being able to think through and solve problems. Masculinity means having courage. Masculinity means having discipline. It means having commitment. It means not giving up. You don't need a bunch of feminized men because we got enough of that. We have an oversupply and an overabundance of feminine ass, weak ass, punk ass Black men. Ladies, tell me if I'm correct. We got enough men that will come home and cry because he can't find a job, or enough men who will cry because a white person hurt his feelings when he was at work that day, right? We got enough little weak ass men. We need more masculinity in the community. And so when people are coming and saying, oh no, masculinity is toxic, you need more gayness and you need more pussies, that's what you need, then I'm one of those people who's the first to raise my hand and say, no, we don't. No, we do not. So maybe that's my toxic masculinity, stepping up and saying, no, shut up. Now, we will stop any man that will abuse a woman or beat up a woman. We will speak up, obviously, against men who will sexually assault a woman or sexually harass a woman. If you keep messing with the woman and she don't want nothing to do with you, there are real men who will use their masculinity to challenge that man and say, hey, man, look, leave her alone. She told you she don't want to go out with you, right? And so to me, if you're not hurting anybody and all you're doing is using your masculinity to protect others, and to also show enough ambition to exert yourself in order to achieve your goal, there ain't nothing wrong with that. Exerting yourself might mean having the ambition to go out and hustle harder to go get some money because your family needs to eat. Masculinity might mean having the energy and the ambition to make sure you finish your master's degree so that you get the piece of paper that you came for. Your masculinity might mean having the determination to say, I really want to be with that girl, so I'm going to get up the courage to go talk to her, and maybe I'll ask her out 2 or 3 times because maybe the first time she just didn't know how great I was. So I might try a couple more times, but I'm not going to be toxic. I'm not going to harass her, but she's going to know that I'm serious about getting her attention, and she's going to appreciate that, right? There's nothing wrong with that. And what they're doing right now is they're getting to the point where you are squashing masculinity so much that you got these men out here scared. You got men out here scared to be men. But I think really to some extent, that's a challenge to your masculinity, Black man, that when they try to shame you for your masculinity, then I think your masculinity should be what leads you to say, no, you're not going to shame me out of being a man. You're not going to, no, I'm not. If I don't want to be, a sensitive, like soap opera watching, tampon wearing, vagina head, like you're not going to make me feel bad because I'm a guy who likes to sit and watch sports and eat a steak and talk shit with my boys or do whatever I do as a man. Like that's who I am as a man. So you need to leave me the hell alone. So I think that this is what bothers me. Like, so I think that there are certainly issues, right? I think with hip hop, I think that there is a conversation that can be had about masculinity gone wild. I think that you have a disrespect of Black women that is unprecedented within some strands of hip hop. I think that there are some spaces where that behavior must be confronted, but make sure this is abundantly clear also. That did not come from the Black community. Hip hop, as it stands now, commercialized hip hop, the stuff that you hear on the radio, I'm not talking about real hip hop. The commercialized hip hop that you hear on the radio did not come from Black people. That was promoted by white people. That was promoted by whites and Jews. They're the ones who run the music industry, not Black folks. So just understand that even when you look at the very worst of what has come out of hip hop, that did not come from us. So don't blame the Black man for that. The Black man was actually the tool that was manipulated and used to help promote this toxic masculinity that was being pushed by the music industry. So let me keep going. So I'm there's more to the article. I'm pretty much done. He ends the article by saying, because the truth is that toxic Black masculinity kills. So not just toxic masculinity, and now it got to be toxic Black masculinity. Maybe they should use an acronym, TBMK or TBM. So you got TBM, toxic Black masculinity. He says rumors have circulated in the past few days that Nipsey Hussle was murdered by a man who felt disrespected in the rapper's clothing store following a personal dispute. Masculinity didn't protect him, and now he's dead. So he's like, you're dead because you were masculine. So if Nipsey Hussle had been wearing a dress and some high heels, maybe he would have survived, because maybe he could have ran and screamed and cried with the women. I don't know what he's saying. Like, if the masculinity is the reason Nipsey's dead, it doesn't make sense. He says masculinity didn't protect him, and now he's dead. Well, I'm tired of Black death, and I'm tired of so many members of my community, attempting to hold on to ideals that have proven to cause so much pain and fear. Okay, so effectively, that goes back to what did I say earlier? I was telling you, like, the way these articles get written and the way these narratives are pushed forward in white media, which does have an agenda, is that Black people are screwed up, that your culture is wrong, it's bad, it needs to be adjusted. You need to be more like white folks. And what I am saying is I'm not here to sit here and tell you that there aren't some issues in the community. I'm not here to tell you that because we know that there's issues. Anybody that's Black knows, shit, Lord knows Black people got issues, right? But my basic final point on this is to say that if those issues get addressed, they should be addressed by us in our way, right? So if we're going to have a conversation about homosexuality, it should be a conversation among us that we have in our way. It should not be something where we're going in and slapping the shit out of everybody who goes to church and telling them that they're backward and they're ignorant and that they're Neanderthals. It should be. It's almost like policing, right? It's like policing is a perfect example. When white people police a Black community, whether they are policing with actual cops or just policing ideology, right? They always do it in a way that is sloppy, racist, abusive, and disrespectful, right? They do it in a way that's disrespectful. So the way white people will police a Black community is they will come in and you will tell them, like, somebody calls the cops and says that man down the street, he pulled out a gun, or better yet, he pulled out, or he's got his baseball bat, he threatened to hit some guy upside the head. So the police get there, and the police, they don't know who's bad and who's good. So the guy's grandmother comes out to talk to the cops. So they slam grandma's head onto the hood. And then the guy, approaches the officers and they're like, pop, pop, pop. So they murder him in front of his grandmother and create all this chaos and trauma. And all the Black men, they put them all on the curb because they don't know which one is bad or good or whatever. So they've come in and what they've done is they've killed a fly with a sledgehammer. They've come in a way where in a way where they solve the problem without showing respect to the delicacy of the community, the delicate nature of the situation that they're going into. They don't understand, like, you don't grab Big Mama's head and slam her head onto the police car. You don't do that. You show respect to the grandmother, right? Or you don't come in and you don't put all the black men on the curb and treat them all like suspects. You figure out who the bad people are and who the good people are, and you act accordingly, right? White folks can't do that. So they come in and wreak havoc. And then when we complain, when we say this is disrespectful, they're like, well, what are you talking about? What do you want? You just want crime in your communities? We solved the problem. We got the predator. Yeah, but you also destroyed the entire community. You know, we asked you to come in and swat a fly, and you came in with a pack of C4 and blew up the whole damn block. We didn't want that, right? And so the same thing is true in this particular case. Black people do have some issues with the same thing white people have issues with. We have rapists in the community. We do. We have abusers in the community. We have harassers in the community. We have men in the community that are a little bit misguided, a lot misguided when it comes to understanding what masculinity is all about. Right. So we're not here to pretend like every black person is wonderful. I don't know about you, but I don't want to hang around every black person I meet. There's some black people I meet, and I'm like, I'd rather hang out with a white person right now because you're terrible. Right. But the thing is that, you know, the way these individuals get addressed, the way these situations get addressed, it's better addressed by us than it is when it's addressed by them. Because, for example, black folks having a conversation, like I could go to a black community and say, look, we need to show more respect to the gay people in our community. Don't stop disowning your son because he's gay. Or if your daughter comes and tells you that she's a lesbian, don't slap her in the head with a Bible and tell her she's going to hell. That's only going to make the situation worse. Let's figure this out. Let's talk this through because your children still need love. A lot of people would be very open to that conversation. But what I would not do is what white people do. White people will literally say, go to the black church or write an article saying everybody in the black church is a bigot, and they discriminate, and they're filled with hate, and it's hate speech, and you're worse than the KKK. Like, that's what they do. Like, remember, that's why a lot of times I'm not real happy when we get the attention of mainstream. I don't want mainstream media to even know I'm on the radar. I don't want them even coming into these conversations and trying to understand them, because these conversations are above your pay grade. Seriously, they're above your pay grade, because your white supremacy, your toxic racism, your paternalist nature, the fact that you are so condescending makes you incapable of understanding what I'm even saying right now. So I don't even want you to listen, because I don't have the patience to hear your ignorant analysis and interpretation of what I just said, because ain't nothing that annoys me more. Ignorant people don't bother me. What bothers me is a dumbass motherfucker who thinks he's the smartest person in the room. Have you ever met somebody like that, where they are dumb as shit and they think they're the smart one? So not only are you stupid, but you're doing all the damn talking, and you're talking over people, and you're telling people where they're wrong. And really everybody's looking at you like you're an idiot. That's how I feel when I talk to some of these people that have bought into some of these BS ideas, that they pretty much just learned from the white liberals on MSNBC. I'm like, oh, you're using the same code words, the same acronyms, the same terminology, the same made up metaphorical words, whatever, all these words that these white liberals have been feeding to you. And you're basically a white liberal in blackface, but because your ideas are more readily accepted by mainstream America, you somehow think you're better than little old me, because your black ass got a job at NBC. So you're coming down here trying to preach to me. And I'm like, no, asshole, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. I have more education by the age of 25 than you'll have in your whole entire life. So maybe you need to sit down and be the student and let us be the teacher, because you're speaking on the black community and you don't know what the hell you're talking about. So if you want to know about the racial divide in America, why it exists, how it works, it exists because you get these people that come in and try to tell black people how to think, how to live, and how we need to evolve, when really they don't know anything about why black people think the way we do. They don't understand anything about why we communicate and connect the way that we connect. And so you end up sounding stupid. So I would just prefer that, NBC not even have an article about Nipsey Hussle. Just act like you don't even know what happened. Talk about Elvis or somebody, or Lady Gaga or some shit. Don't even talk about Nipsey Hussle, and let the people that understand where he was coming from, let those people talk about him. So that's it. I'm done. I don't have anything else to say. So do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button. Please share. Take the link, share it on your social media. Also, if you want to get a text notification when I go live, I'll probably do some financial stuff tomorrow and come in. We always talk about finances. If you haven't invested in the stock market, I really hope you consider it, because the last 40 years has been the easiest way in the world to make extra money. And I've been preaching this for a long time, and I just hope Black folks will listen. Maybe don't do it for me. Maybe do it out of respect for Nipsey Hussle. You know, Nipsey talked about this stuff all the time. I never met him, but I knew a lot of people who knew him, and I knew at some point I would meet him, because a lot of the people I know, you know, that I've worked close with, Tariq Nasheed, Dame Dash, etc., they all knew Nipsey, and Jay Morrison, and it's sort of like when you have so few people that are speaking that language, that economic empowerment language, you end up all kind of knowing each other. So I have no doubt that Nipsey and I shared ideas through the years, and I respect this brother, and I wish him well in the afterlife. And I really want us to make sure that in the midst of whatever grief you're feeling, in the midst of whatever sadness you might be feeling, that you're going to flip that into, remember, Nipsey's all about making flips and making investments. So do the ultimate flip. Flip this passion into power. Flip this into something that's going to last forever, that will give immortality to the ideas, which are big, always bigger than the man. The ideas are that we need a strong community, we need a vibrant community, an independent community, we need a community that builds wealth, and that's the key to Black power. So please do that in your own way, whatever method works for you, but just do something better and different than what you did the day before. That's all I ask you to do. And so again, if you actually want to join the Black Business School, you can get started for free. Just go there. Don't cost you a thing. Sign up at theblackbusinessschool.com. That's theblackbusinessschool.com. We teach Black people. We teach about wealth. That's all we do. That's all we talk about. So you guys take care. I'm out of here. Have a good night, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care.